Happy October! I didn't know that was what they were calling it, and I'm here for it. I love it because I have already been in knit and crochet for fall mode since August 1st hit, basically. This summer, I didn't do very much stitching. Not surprising, a lot of us lose our mojo or our crojo, whatever you want to call it, during the summertime. There's a lot going on. Graduation parties, there's just all sorts of stuff. I actually had a hard time getting back into crocheting and knitting and stitching, and what I learned actually really helped me was to do a few really small projects around the house that I could complete in an afternoon. So that's what worked for me. So if you are also struggling, like you feel like you should be knitting or crocheting, or that you want to be knitting or crocheting, but you don't want to knit or crochet. I don't know how to explain that. I feel like if you know what that feeling is like you want to, but you don't want to. It's not clicking for some reason. But once I got back into the swing of things, I found a few projects that I am super in love with, super ready for fall. The first one I started is going to be, this isn't that 6-day star blanket or whatever it's called. I actually didn't know that was a thing until I started this, and I honestly just wanted a free ripple pattern that would go out into a circle. I have sort of an idea of what I want to do once it is big enough. I don't know if it's going to work, but once it's big enough, I'll take you on that ride because I've always struggled with the idea of a circular blanket. I understand for decor purposes, like in the middle of a big king size bed, which I do happen to have, but I feel like this would get destroyed almost immediately with, some scissor paws running around. So anyway, I want this to be more wearable actually, because it's August. It was 100 degrees in my car, literally on the dash when I left work yesterday, and somehow the office, they feel like, should be at 55. I wish I could make that up. In fact, someone's like, you aren't wearing your skirts this summer, and I'm like, yeah, no. Why would I? This is just a simple one I found on Ravelry. I believe it is free. I'll go ahead and pop it up and of course link down below if you're interested in, I think this is like a 12-point star, not the other one, because I wanted it to be more ripply and less, star, which I do love the star one. It is adorable, and even the 6-point ones look cute, but that just wasn't what I was going for here. I do also love, I'm so glad I talked myself into going ahead and getting a teal to break up the other colors, the yellow and the orange. I knew there was yellow and orange in the yarn, obviously. I didn't realize how heavily it would read until I started actually working this up, and I feel like breaking it up with this, I think it's like a stone wash. Yes, it's from the Stonewash line of yarn. So these are Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn prints. There's that one. And then what I'm breaking it up with. And of course, if you prefer more orange or more yellow, it would be fun, or even white to break this up. I don't know why, I just felt like it needed to break up a little bit, or it would just be a bit much. And then this is the I Love This Yarn Stonewash line, which all of them are absolutely beautiful. You cannot go wrong. I also super love that they did a great job pairing Stonewash with these prints that clearly already look a little bit modeled and stonewashed anyway. So thank you, Hobby Lobby. I just have to try not to spend my entire paycheck there. That's really the challenge, honestly. So the other project I started going down the rabbit hole on, I don't even remember how I came across this pattern page, and I had this clearance yarn from gosh knows how long ago. I actually looked it up just to see if by any chance it was still available, even just in other colors. I cannot find it. I actually thought I got this from Hobby Lobby, but it's a Joann brand and clearly says Joann. Unfortunately, unless you happen to find someone on Ravelry trying to destash, or someone on Etsy, eBay, whatever, this can't be found, but just some inspiration for a bulky yarn that has a little bit of a halo. I actually didn't see any projects for this pattern in the halo effect, but I really think it's going to look very nice with the halo effect in it. It really is giving it something different. Hi, little girl. Hi. Also, because we haven't talked in a really long time, this is Madeline. I have 3 cats in total. Queso is the middle cat now. He was struggling even months after Gypsy, went over the Rainbow Bridge. And so if you're like, so you got your pet a pet? Yes, that's exactly what happened. Queso got his own pet, and I am so glad. It was a total leap of faith. And they get along fabulously. It actually took me a while to find her because I knew I wanted a girl, because I was afraid that there would be territorial marking things, which still kind of sometimes happens. RIP a lot of my socks recently. So, not hand knit socks, thankfully. Those actually get stored up. Side tangent. Anyway, so this, I love how this is working up. I think this is reading a lot brighter on camera than what it actually is. It is actually pretty muted. So let me bring it back here and see if that tones it down to the proper, to me, this is like the perfect raspberry color. The color name is fuchsia, but I just think it's a nice berry tone. And I think just the lighting, the way it's reading on camera. And this happens a lot with greens and reds in particular. And, this is a type of red that they just never quite read the same on camera as in person. I wonder if I do like a split screen, if I can show actually do some playing with the color in editing. But anyway, I love how this pattern and this is working up. And the other project I have going on right now is currently put up, and I had to reach a stopping point because I need more supplies, is a plush doll. And I do sell plush dolls occasionally. I usually do very custom ones. They will often be character inspired. And I do have a pattern designer that I go to all the time. I start with her first, and then I heavily modify a lot of the patterns. Let me know which one of these you are most looking forward to seeing. I feel like the first few rows went really fast, and now I feel like I'm crocheting into a black hole. Does that make sense? Does anyone else ever feel that way, where you're like, progress, 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 and then all of a sudden you're like, but now I'm crocheting or knitting or crocheting, 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 or knitting, 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 but I'm not seeing a difference anymore? What I will do in that instance is I'll find one of my prettier stitch markers, and so I'm actually going to get to that point now as I go to work on this, is place a stitch marker so you can actually start seeing the progress without feeling like, am I making progress or am I not? This one is different. This, I will say, what I did for this, I swatched it because the yarn is so different from what was recommended in the pattern. So what I ended up doing is I did a swatch, and then I did some math to see which size that swatch would most correlate to. Does that make sense? So anyway, I feel like that could be a whole video on its own, and let me know if that's something you would want to see. Knitting and crochet math is a real thing. You don't have to do that for a lot of things like scarves or whatever, but it is very useful if you're like, okay, but I have this yarn that I really want to make into this sweater, but it's a different weight yarn than what the pattern calls for. There's ways to adjust for it. So I could have made this a super dense, stiff fabric, and I'm sure it would have been super cozy and still equally pretty, or have that same drape. Actually, I went somewhere in the middle. Oh no, I will say that about crocheting is it is a lot easier to just go ahead and make these fixes as they come up. So I'll go ahead and place a stitch marker just so visually I can start seeing the progress. Like logically I know I am, but I don't know, it's not translating. It's like project dysmorphia, I guess. That's what I have on the hooks right now. I don't think I have anything on the needles actually, so, which is really interesting. I don't know why. I think it really is because I found crochet hooks that do work well for having had severe wrist issues. And for the longest time, I really didn't think I could start crocheting again, or at least very minimally. And I just have to hand it to Alt Knots, because if it wasn't for her saying, no, that's really why I buy super expensive, well, in the scheme of crochet hooks, super expensive hooks, is because she was having similar issues. And this is just life-changing for me. So I think that's why I'm like, just crochet all the things now. So I don't know if I'll knit anything. Also, I know it's like still barely August. I am just itching to get all of the fall projects going. So I have these, but also I have the doll that I'm working on for myself, which is, you know, very spooky season. And I hope she is done by the next episode because I'm super excited. She is turning out like beyond my wildest dreams. So obviously subscribe if you want to see the project that I am talking about and how it is going to turn out. I probably should have done a start to finish, but honestly, I started her and just forgot to put the camera on, and I was just too excited to get started once I had all the materials and the time. And then now she's like, you know, half done. So whoops, probably more than half done at this point. And so now I'm just in the mode of now I just want to crochet and knit all of the fall decor. In particular, I just have so much I want to get done. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So I do think I need some extra hands or time or energy. I don't know. So yeah, anyway, super excited, super happy to be back and stitching again. So if you enjoyed seeing some of the things I am working on and you're interested in seeing the just, I can't believe it project coming along, obviously stay tuned.